Alright, so what we got going on right now, this is a Kambi deck, and there's gonna definitely be some differences in opinions and things on what cards to run with. This one has been working out fairly well, in the ranked ladder, um, and the main reason behind that is just that I found that this is outside of like a couple cards like Sarah, which I was using, I really love her in my fog deck. She's really good at getting me the card that I want a lot of the time in that deck. She just has not played a very good role in any of the Canby decks, which I thought she would, because she has always been very, very useful at getting that clutch gold pull or anything like that. One card I was playing when I first created this deck that I would suggest since it comes standard, and doesn't always get as much appreciation for what it is, especially on a deck like this, when your entire game plan hinges on whether you have Canby in your hand or not. Because the one thing that's hard about a Canby deck is that, you have your Hjalmar Canby combo. That's what everyone reinforces. That's great. You got that in a Canby deck. And if you pull them, then you've got a decent shot at winning a round for sure, especially with your Dimeridium Shackles. But what happens after that? You always want to have a contingency plan, and that's why this one has felt the best to me, because if you have a Priestess of Freya in your hand after Canby goes off, that's going to be a much bigger play when you have 4 copies of Queen's Guard plus Ceres coming out right after. It's a big point gap that you're creating after Canby goes off and destroys the map. It's a big combo that you want to work alongside Hjalmar. And if you have to waste Canby in the second round, don't do it unless you're desperate. If you do have to, though, then you always have your Queen's Guards. Those are going to be your go-to card, your biggest play the entire time. And so, really, the way that the deck works the best is you have your Witchers, which I know might sound a little bit strange, but they are awesome for the deck thinning, for making sure that you get Canby. And back to the card that I was going to say, Royal Decree is a definite useful card in a deck like this, especially if you say you don't have the Witchers for that extra deck thinning. Then you have Royal Decree, you have that in your hand, and hopefully you have at least Hjalmar or Canby, and that's going to give you your combo. Super, super useful in a deck like a Canby deck. I can't say enough about it, just because this deck is pretty efficient at filtering cards out when you have King Bran. King Bran is, people that have used him, discards 3 cards and adds 1 strength onto him. So you're always going to, preferable hand you have an Operator and you have a Queen's Guard in your hand. You only want 1 Queen's Guard and you have your Operator. You copy the Queen's Guard, so now you have 4 of them. And then the way Ceres works is, when she's in your graveyard, when you resurrect 4 cards, then she also comes onto the battlefield too. So this is going to be a combo that can be used round after round. If it gets set up in the first round, you can use it in the second and third. It's going to be it's a huge combo, especially after Canby goes off. Also, along that front, you have the Witchers, like I was saying. Those are going to be also another big 17-point burst right onto the board. So the longer you can hold on to them, the better. And what you're going to try to do is, first round, you're going to play around with the Queen's Guard combo. Hopefully you're getting Operator. Now, if you don't have Operator in your first hand, what you hope you have in your first hand is Alzir's Double Cross, because this is going to be your location tool. It's going to bring out operators. So that's your instant operator if you don't have him. If you do have him, it still has a useful function, because this guy is going to be your poor man's Yalmar. He's never a bad card to have, but what I tend to do with any of these cards, because your Queen's Guard can get res 3 times. And I had Sigdrifa in this deck, and it was nice having that 3rd res just in case, but I didn't feel like it was doing me many favors, because I ended up only really being able to bring back Morkvarg, and that was on a rare occasion that somebody actually got rid of him. So it just didn't, an 8-point card isn't a huge deal for a res. Occasionally I would use her to get the Queen's Guard, but since the way the thinning of this deck has worked out, through King Brand's discarding 3 cards in the beginning, and then with Avalok giving you those 2 card draws, and then even the Witcher combo, which is not a bad thing ever to throw out the first round, ever. Outside of your opponent throwing Weather and you not having that Clear Skies in your hand, this plus Queen's Guard is going to scare people. In the first round, it's going to scare people, especially if you get Cirrus out there on the board. And then also in the second round, if you feel that you want to pass the first round because you still have that Witcher Queen's Guard combo going on, throw it out in the second round, and you're going to get a lot of passes in the second round, just off of a Witcher Queen's Guard combo. I mean, it's a bunch of points for somebody to have to put up, and if you win the first round, that's your preferable outcome. You win that first round, and you throw this combo out there, the Queen's Guard. Of course, you're getting them from a Priest of Freya at that point, hopefully, because you want to have all 4 of them in the graveyard. But anyways, you use that Priestess of Freya, you get all 4 Queen's Guard, you get Ceres out there, and King Brand is going to add a point onto this one, a point onto that one, and a point onto Ceres. That's his, he adds that 1 extra point when you discard, and it does work on Ceres, even though she's a gold. And that's another reason that she's actually pretty decent, a 7-point card, that goes out with 2 5-points and a 4-point if you don't use a Marjoram or any of your Shield Smiths to boost your Queen's Guard, which is always a good thing to do. I tended to use that on Morkvarg to begin with, but then I was thinking, well, if your opponent is one of those opponents that keeps throwing him to the graveyard, then you're losing points out that. You're never losing points off of adding it to your Queen's Guard. Because even if your opponent's damaging the Queen's Guard, unless, they can always be res, so it's not a big deal. But when he dies and comes back, he loses 3 strength. So his impact slowly wanes the more he dies. So that's why you want to hold on to him as long as possible, in my opinion, at least. So like I was saying, you want to have your Queen's Guard and Witcher combo. That's going to be your way out of a round 2. Like when you you always want to get round 3 with card advantage. That's your main goal, is getting around 3 with card advantage. That's why first round win is huge. You can throw out your Queen's Guard combo, your Witcher combo, and just sit on it. Let them throw out 3 or 4 cards to catch up point wise, and then you're in the lead going to the final round, and then you have camp. And the deck thinning process should have you with at least 1 shackle. I tend to always get both of them in a match, so you throw Kambi out there, and any 2 gold cards they have out are gone, because they're Diamond and shackled and turned into silver. So that's the updated deck. I'm pretty happy with it right now. The only thing that I could say, Savage Bears could be changed up for weather effects. I'm sure there's more use than these. I like them a lot though, because when you're playing against a spy deck, These things, cow carcasses, you name it, they're so useful. You eat that carcass up, get 12-point card out, and save the units that were about to get killed by the cow carcass. Super useful. Maybe, another good card if we're talking about, spies or cow carcass is the Clan of Brokvar Archer. Really good card. Does that 1-point damage. Just hit 2 units on the enemy side. Not bad at all. Savage Bears, never bad either. 2 of those might be nice to have instead of these. These just have decent utility in my opinion. I like to use them in combination with Queen's Guard. You throw a couple Queen's Guard, you get your combo going, throw a bear out, eat it. Your opponent kills 1 or 2 more of your Queen's Guard, and you throw him right back out there because he doesn't devour, he just destroys. So it works pretty well. I think down the line I'll probably end up changing the Savage Bears into weather cards, possibly. And another way that I was going before I added the Witchers in was I was using Skellige Storm, Aeromancy, and then Sigdrifa. Pretty good pressure-wise, especially in the early rounds. But I feel like this Witcher combo ended up being more valuable just due to the fact that at least at the rank, I'm rank 11 right now. The rank I'm at, a lot of people have clear skies in their pocket. So when you're running into a bunch of clear skies, this value of this card is diminished quite a bit. You're only usually getting about 6 points off of it, where this is 17. So if the opponent doesn't have an instant clear skies, then you're doing good. Of course, you always had Aeromancy in that deck to, summon it again, but the nice thing about having those 2 is if you have both in your hand, then you can cast it on 2 rows, and that will 90% of the time make someone pass if they don't have any way to deal with it. So there's a couple of options to mess around with on the silver side. I just feel like the deck thinning that I get from these Witchers just is so beneficial, because the deck hinges on Kambi. I've had matches where I lose just because I didn't have Kambi. If I had Kambi in my hand, I would have won the match, because my Queen's Guard were doing what they needed to do, but it just wasn't enough. So for right now, this is the deck in its entirety. I'm sure it will change. I tend to mess around with them a lot, but I'm going to keep giving the matches. I'm going to keep diving into more matches and seeing if I can get it to where I want it. So anyways, that's the deck.